Hey guys, welcome to the very first video in our request series. This is obviously where we take your requests and we talk about them. Um, so today we have a two-part request actually. So we're going to split it up into different vlogs and we're going to talk about one part today and one part next time because we kind of have a lot to talk about on this topic. So without further ado, let me read the request for you. I was wondering if you'd be able to do a video on how fabulous Kay is.
What? Down. Do not want. Do not want. What the hell is that shit?
So you have nothing to say to that, really? Like, come on. I'm sure we can make an entire vlog about how fabulous I am. You know we can.
I can't even say good game to that.
Okay, fine. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm giving you the middle finger. I know you can't see it, but I'm giving you the middle finger right now.
Talk about how awesome melody is. That's going to take an entire year. God damn it, I'm Mel. Anyways. Alright. So, you're going to do it for real?
Anyway, okay, seriously. Oh, I thought this was for real.
Is this real life?
Oh god, okay, so now seriously, our request is I was wondering if you do a video of your guys' gaming history from your first console till now. And the second part of that request, also with PS4 and Xbox One around the corner, which of those you are looking forward to. So today we're going to talk about, again, our console history, and next time we will go into the next gen and what we're expecting from it, what our thoughts are on it, etc., etc. Take it away, Mel.
Without further ado, I can't even say further, my first console was NES, of course. I've already reviewed a lot of my games, like my top 5. Some of them were NES games. Yeah, NES for the win. I know that.
So yeah, mine was also an.
I know that you also had an NES as well too.
Right. So actually, the only console I ever played when I was back in Russia was actually NES, and I don't know whether it's because NES was the only one we had. To be honest, we referred back in Russia to it as sort of like the console, which is pristavka. I don't know. I guess the direct translation for it would be like an attachment of sorts. So because we gave it like such a generic name, it really makes me think that we didn't have any other ones available. Don't quote me on this, but this is,
In Mother Russia, there's only one console.
Yeah.
And then you also
yeah, I don't
PC.
know how it is now. I would actually be very curious. I'm sure like PS3 and everything is available.
Oh, probably.
But yeah. But that's why I was kind of like always a PC gamer because aside from NES, there wasn't really much to play. So yeah.
Yeah. So after my NES, my family got me the Nintendo 64, and I actually gave my Nintendo to my cousins in Iran, because they were playing some console, which I don't even remember the name of it, but I asked my cousin, and he said something like Micro. I tried to Google that. I don't think that exists. But actually, of all the consoles that I've ever owned, NES is like my least favorite. For one reason and one reason only. Because of this hunky little bitch. Look at how big this is. My hands don't even know where to put, my hands are small. Our hands are small. They're not made for, you like my red one? It's red though. It's not made for these kinds of controllers. I just hated it. But I mean, yeah, that was my second console that I ever had. I don't think you had anything of that sort, right?
No, I mean, I did play like N64 and Genesis, etc., but that was already while I was here in America, and I was a lot older, so it was kind of like retro gaming in a way, and I never actually owned them. It was my friends who had them, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
PC
yeah. I mean, I'm the same way kind of too, because my family was like, oh, well, your friends have a SNES or they have a Genesis and all that kind of stuff, so why don't you go over to their house to play? So I didn't actually get to have a console. They're like, you have a 64, you can just play that. Well, that's how I segue into not having a PlayStation 1 because my friends had them, so I couldn't get one. But finally, PlayStation 2 was my next console, which I know that Kay also had as well, right?
Yeah, so yes, I did. So basically, all through, when I was in Russia up until here, maybe 2003, I would say, I did PC, and then I finally met some people in school, and they were super into JRPGs at the time. And this was really the first time that I got to see JRPGs, and I was like, holy shit, where was this all my life? Because, they had amazing stories, they had the beautiful artwork, and I'm talking like Final Fantasy, etc. So I was like, I need this in my life. So, that was really, I think PS2 I think just came out at that time, I believe. So I was like, well, what's the point of getting a PS1 to play these games if I can get a PS2? And thankfully, back in the day, we're still backwards compatible, unlike now. So a lot of my PS2 days were actually spent catching up on all the PS1 games, and then finally, I moved on to actual PS2 games. But yeah, I think back in the day it was like there was a very clear distinction where like if you wanted to play RPG games, you went with PS2, and if you wanted to do sort of like shooters, Halo, etc., and you went to Xbox. So I don't think it's that big of a difference now. I think everything kind of comes out cross-platform for most of the cases. But yeah,
Yeah.
back then it was very
I was kind of the same way too. I
go
got a
ahead.
lot of PlayStation 1 games to make up for the fact that I didn't own a PlayStation 1 since it was backwards compatible. But I also I think I got like the first generation PlayStation 2 since it's so big and bulky. But after that, all my friends went and started playing, like she said, shooting
Oh
games
yeah, I
and
have the
everything.
first gen too.
Yeah. Everyone started playing Xbox, and then since all my friends had so many, we'd get together and play Halo together, and I wouldn't need to buy a console. And then eventually, I didn't need one until I got to Xbox 360, and this is where we ventured off into Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 fights with me and Kay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we're at
So
right now, at least.
PS3, yeah, you want to go by your 360 or?
I love it. What are we going by?
Okay, well, so for us, I guess PS3 came to my family kind of naturally. That was around the time where my dad was like, you know what, screw this. I am tired of constantly upgrading the PC. Because he was actually the one who got me into PC gaming, and he was a huge gamer back in the day, and he still kind of is. And he was like, screw that. I am done. I want a console. And I don't know, for some reason he was really into PlayStation. I don't know whether because he's always seen me play it, or I don't know. Maybe he likes Sony better, but he was kind of like, we're getting a PS3. This is our family console, kind of. And of course, I didn't protest because for me, it was like a natural transition from PS2 to PS3. And yeah, that's how we got it. That's our family console now. So not to say that I never thought about getting an Xbox 360, but as I said, a lot of games, aside from like very few, like, exclusives, most of the games come out like cross
They do.
platform these days.
Hmm.
So there's really no need to have both. I do want Xbox though to play stuff like Battle Block Theater with you, but
We could play on
one day.
Xbox one
One
day.
day. One
I
day.
actually don't even own a second controller, so we can't play.
well, yeah,
I'm a
okay. Well, we
loner.
could have.
You could buy a controller. Because who am I gonna play with? My mom? Like, it's not gonna work out. I'm only, but yeah, I guess it kind of went against sides from PlayStation 2 to Xbox 360, but it was such a natural transition since I'd been playing so many like games like Halo and Call of Duty and all that kind of stuff on Xbox, the first one, so I might as well have just transitioned to the second one. Um, but yeah, going on from consoles, since we're both told us our current consoles, go on to handheld games, since I know that Kay does a lot of handheld games. My first handheld actually was a Game Boy Color. And I remember being pissed because it was purple. I was like, I don't want purple! But that's the only one they had in that season, so it was
You're
really
such a
popular. I know,
hater.
I'm such a hater. But I love purple now, so it's kind of funny. Um, and I know you had a Game Boy Color as well, too, right?
Yeah. Well, my Game Boy Color story is a little bit different because I started playing handheld a lot later in life, I would say. So, but I do have a really funny story to go along with it. So, back when I was in high school, I don't know if people outside of US know what SATs are, but they're basically like standard tests that you take in order to get into college, and you do it during your high school years. So one summer, my parents were like, okay, you're gonna study 2 hours a day every single day because we want you to get into like super good college. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So the way my room was set up was that my back was towards the door, and so I would open the book and I would have the Game Boy Color on my lap, and I would be playing Pokemon, like first gen, second gen Pokemon, like for 2 hours. And every time my parents would come in, it would look like I'm studying, and I would just like hide the Game Boy. So I probably could have ended up in like Harvard or something, but I became the very best, and I caught a lot of Pokemon that summer. I think I went through like Yellow, Fire, Red, maybe some other ones, not sure, but it was definitely a great summer. I'll tell you that much. So that's my Pokemon Game Boy
Gotta be
story.
the very
And that's why I love
best.
that's why I love like old gen Pokemon. I've replayed them so many times just because. But yeah,
Well, you were,
moving on.
yeah, the very best at the wrong thing, I guess. Moving on. I'm not a huge like handheld.
Well, I still go to
Gaming.
college, so
That's true. You still got it. Not Harvard though. Um, After my Game Boy Color, I actually got a Nintendo SP, and the only reason why I got this was because there was an arcade in our mall, and it was some kind of like game where you had to get to like level 5 or something, and I surprisingly put 50 cents in, and I won a Nintendo SP, so it was just really weird. But it's like funny because I would play the games that I got for my Game
unbelievable.
Boy, put on that. So I'm not really a huge handheld player, so I don't really have any more than that. So, but I know that that's different for you.
Yeah, well, I do live in New York, so I travel a lot via the trains. And if you know how big New York is to get from point A to point B, like to college, to work, to home, it just takes hours. So that's why I've had a PSP for a pretty long time again to play like a bunch of JRPGs and some fighting stuff. I had like Tekken on it and whatnot. Um, yeah, I don't have the PSP anymore because it met a very tragic death because I was a good citizen and I lent it to someone who happened to break it that same exact day by headbutting it. Don't ask me how the hell you headbutt a PSP so that it won't work, but anyway,
Rage
so it
quit.
met a tragic death. Yes, it rage quit. I was like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing it." But it was never replaced, and I just never felt like buying a new one. Um, yeah. So then years later, not really, but now I have a 3DS because yeah, I need to entertain myself. Right now, I've been playing a lot of Animal Crossing and whatnot. Except obviously nobody uses 3DS for 3D anymore, so might as well be the new 2DS, right, Mel?
Oh my god, that beautiful, sexy machine of 2DS. Who wants that? I hate 3D though. But you just press the on and off button. Like what?
I don't know.
Who's that lazy? I don't know. Anyways, don't get us started into
Exactly.
future consoles. We can talk
I don't
about
know.
that in our next vlog. So that's our
I
current
know.
ones. I have currently Xbox 360.
Yes.
She has PlayStation 3 and a 3DS. And I drive a car, so I don't really
Yes.
do any handheld. So yeah, that's it. Stay tuned for part 2 of our next vlog, where we talk about our future consoles and what we think about each of them, and fight over them, of course,
Yes. And
to
yes.
the death.
And as we mentioned in our update vlog, if you guys do have requests for us, please leave it in the comments on Tumblr, tweet at us, Facebook at us, whatever. We love to hear what you want to suggest, and blah, etc. I'm done. I'm done.
Done. Request
Done.
away.
Yeah. See you next time, guys.
Bye.